Hey love bugs, welcome back to another Tarot Lover Reviews. Today we are taking a look at the Queer Tarot. So if you've heard of this tarot deck or you haven't heard of this tarot deck, hopefully this review and the flip through that comes afterwards helps you to decide on whether or not this tarot deck is right for you. Now if you want to go straight to the flip through, feel free to look down in my description. I break down all the suits into chapters to make it easier for you to locate exactly where in the flip through you would like to start. But right now we're going to talk about the packaging, we're going to talk about the guidebook, and we are going to talk about the cards. All things cards, cardstock, the backing, the texture, the naming convention, the imagery. So if you are interested in all the details, stick around. Otherwise, feel free to head on over to the flip through. So let's go ahead and start with the packaging. So this is what the packaging looks like. And the creators of this particular tarot deck is Ashley Molesso, I believe. I'm sorry if I have mispronounced your name. And Chess Needham. They are right here at the top there. And the box opens like so. So you have a metal clasp right here and up here on this side, and look at the interior of this box. So what's interesting is that when I did purchase this tarot deck, the packaging itself was not wrapped in anything, which kind of concerned me because I was afraid that someone had already gotten into the deck, but the deck comes in another box. So inside, you have the interior here, which is a felt interior, or a felt insert, which, of course, I am always happy. Let's talk about the box before we kind of look at the extra box. So it just helps to keep your tarot deck in the middle, which is fantastic. You have the really thick sides on the box that lets you know that if the box falls to the floor and your tarot deck is inside, that your tarot deck will be well protected because the box will take most of the impact, and your deck is in the middle of the box, which is even better. It won't get, it won't get any damage, seeing how it's in the center of the packaging. So that is what the box looks like. Now, the insert box. So the insert box with the tarot deck in it was packaged. It did have a plastic film over it, so I knew that no one had gotten into the tarot deck. I'm always afraid that that can happen because I have seen other tarot decks out there that you can definitely open it up if it's in a store and touch the cards, and that just always, I don't know. But yeah, it comes with a plastic covering over it. So it is your typical slip box, tuck box. And I love the color in the box. Yeah, so it's pretty simple. A very sturdy slip box, I might add. There is quality to this box. You don't necessarily think about that until you actually get a box that feels a little bit different. The cardstock on this is a little bit thicker than your typical tuck boxes. So I love that. So that is the packaging. Let's talk about the guidebook. The guidebook is beautiful. It's colorful. That's the back here. Let me show you what it looks like in the package, or in the guidebook. Looks like that. And as you could see, you don't get a picture next to each particular definition or each card description, but you do get it towards the beginning or towards the end of that particular batch. So you can see, you get it in the beginning. So in the beginning of that suit, you will get a picture in color of all the particular cards for the descriptions that come afterwards. So you do get that in color. As far as the descriptions, very relatable, very easy to read. You do get descriptions. You do get keywords. So you'll get the keywords at the top, a description. Then you'll have a reverse, a things to consider section, models, which I believe is the figures depicted in that card. They let you know who the model was, their pronouns, and yeah, the people in the card and their pronouns. So I love that. I love that they give a little extra to explain each of the cards. You do get a tarot spread. You get several tarot spreads, I should say. You have like all of this. So you have that page. You have these 2 pages. So that's 4, 6, 7. You have 7 tarot spreads available in this guidebook. That is so much more than some of the guidebooks out there. That's amazing. I love the fact that if you guys have seen my videos and my reviews, I will always say that it is so wonderful to be able to find a tarot deck within a guidebook. And not just, I mean, I understand you want to save some space for the information that you want to give on the tarot deck. But I like it when you have more than just the Celtic cross, more than just a 3-card spread. But I'm not going to be mad if that's the only thing that's available, because you're giving something to that reader to be able to utilize with their tarot deck. It's just a perk when you get more than, just those types of tarot spreads, and you get more by it being more themed towards the tarot deck that you have, or the tarot deck that it's representing. So those are always a plus. But yeah, that is amazing that there are so many options that you have for this tarot deck. So that is the guidebook. So let's go ahead and talk about the cards. So this is the whole reason I ended up purchasing this tarot deck, was because of the beautiful colors in this deck. I am not, with my collection and looking at my collection, all the tarot decks that I have reviewed, my tarot decks that I like, that I lean towards, are never this bright. But it's something about the artwork. It's something about the color combinations that were just like, let me tell you a story. So I went to the mall. This particular tarot deck was in a store called Spencer's. And I always go in there whenever I'm in the mall, because I know that store will always have tarot decks. And I just wanted to see what they had available. And they had this tarot deck. And I'm just like, I don't know if it's something that I would utilize, because I'm looking for the long run. I'm not just looking for a quick, a quick fix. You know what I mean? I'm looking for something that I will come to whenever I feel that I need to utilize that deck. So I was looking at this particular one, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know, how I feel about this particular one. I'm just going to wait a bit, and then I'm going to come back to it. And the minute that I walked out of the store, you guys can think that I am crazy. That is totally fine. But the minute that I walked out of that door, I literally felt like I heard this tarot deck screaming, "Why won't you take me home? I want to go with you." Like literally those words, but I want to go with you. So as we're walking away from the store, I'm just like, should I just turn around and go back and get it now? And I'm just like, no, we got things that we need to do. Let's go ahead and do it. We go to do our things. We go home. And earlier this week, I was just like, after we left that day, I was just like, okay, if it's meant to be, I will go back and I will get it. if we end up going back to the mall. And earlier last week, I had to go back to the mall, and I'm just like, we are going to get this tarot deck. We are so going to get this tarot deck. So that is why this tarot deck is in my collection today, because it was calling to me. The colors are absolutely beautiful, which you will see in the flip through. But that's the story, a little bit of story time behind this particular deck and how I came about purchasing it. So let's talk about the cards. So first things first is the backing of the cards, which is exactly what you saw within the packaging, is that background. It is a matte finish. It's beautiful, beautiful matte finish. I am a sucker for matte finish cards. The card stock is a little bit on the thicker side, which I am not mad at. I like a thicker cardstock because I feel like that just will last the wear and tear of utilizing the deck, but does make it a little bit difficult to shuffle depending on how you shuffle. So what I mean by that is if you do the riffle style shuffle, and that is by splitting it in half and doing, you know, the shuffling, the weaving of the cards this way, you will find with this particular cardstock, or at least this is how you can tell when it's a thicker cardstock, is when you try to bend the cards this way, it is difficult. You get a lot of tension when you try to bend the cards that way. So trying to shuffle it like that is going to be a little bit difficult. Obviously, if you constantly do that, you'll get some more bend with the cards that will make it easier for you to shuffle that way. But if you're like me, I like to try to keep my cards in the best possible condition as possible. I know I said that a lot, but what I will do with this particular tarot deck, and what I tend to do depending on the particular tarot deck that I end up using, I will switch up the shuffling style depending on the cardstock for that particular deck. So with this one, I will do that under over method of shuffling. So this is what I will do when I want to shuffle this deck. You don't have to do it that way. You don't have to do it as a ripple shuffle. Do what works for you, okay? Because ultimately it's you. You are utilizing that tarot deck. You want to utilize it the best of your ability. So shuffling it in the way that feels right to you, do it. Right? So that is the cardstock, the size of the cards. So the size of the cards, let me show you. Standard Rider-Waite tarot card. Here is the Queer Tarot. It is a little bit bigger than your average tarot card. I don't see the difference. I like the size. It feels nice in my hands. So I don't mind the size, but I want to give you an idea of what you can expect with this tarot deck. So that is the sizing. Now let's talk about the imagery and the naming convention. So when we get to this point, I always like to say that when we are talking about these things, I am comparing it to the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. The reason why, and I feel like I keep saying my frizzy hair. Anyway, sorry, squirrel moment. Every time that I review a tarot deck, I always want to see it from the eyes of someone who is brand new to tarot, that might be utilizing the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck to start off with, because most tarot readers do. They start off with the Rider-Waite-Smith because a lot of the tarot decks out there that are available for purchase are largely based off of the imagery of the Rider-Waite-Smith, the naming convention of the Rider-Waite-Smith. A lot of the guidebooks that you can purchase separately go based off of that imagery and naming convention. So it's better that you know the comparisons between what I'm reviewing right now compared to the Rider-Waite-Smith. It makes it a lot easier for you to decide on whether or not this is the tarot deck that you want. So yeah, So that's why we are doing what we're doing at this point. So let's go ahead and talk about the naming convention. So the naming convention compared to the Rider-Waite-Smith is exactly the same. So you have all of your major arcana laid out the same way. Yeah, I'm thinking, for some reason I was thinking it was going to be named something different, but I don't remember ever seeing anything different for, yeah, no, all of it is the same for the major arcana. Minor arcana, same. So you have Pentacles, Cups, Wands, and Swords for your suits. Same thing with the court cards. You have Page, Knight, Queen, and King in this deck. So there's no difference compared to the Rider-Waite-Smith. They're exactly the same. Let's talk about the imagery. The imagery is absolutely gorgeous. Again, it's the colors. I love the colors. The art style is interesting because, again, this is something I probably wouldn't have chosen for myself initially, but something about the artwork works for me. It's relatable. It just works. It's very modern, but the way that they've done it, the art style is just, I don't know, everything works beautifully together. And I think that's why I love this tarot deck. So the imagery on this tarot deck is based off the Rider-Waite-Smith. You're going to have a little bit of variances between certain things, but for the most part, it is same type of positioning of the characters within each of the cards. You know, is the imagery going to be exactly the same? No. But I almost feel like it's a simplistic view of the Rider-Waite-Smith, but there's so much more to it. I don't know how else to explain it, but it works. It definitely works. So the imagery, exactly the same. There's just going to be some differences. I mean, so if you guys know of the Wheel of Fortune, this is what the Wheel of Fortune looks like. In this tarot deck, very bright colors. You still get the exact same vibe of the original Rider-Waite-Smith. I think I have yes, I have the Emperor here. Let me show you, because I have the Emperor and the Rider-Waite-Smith, that I can do a cross comparison for you. So here is the Emperor in the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, and this is the Emperor in this one. I may want to note, in regards to the naming convention, you might find it a little bit hard to read the bottom, to read the name. You may find it hard to do that because there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that you can't quite see the name. But again, the imagery is very close to the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. So just looking at the imagery itself tells you what it is. You don't really have to think too hard. You don't have to strain to figure out what that card is. You can tell what it is without having to read the bottom of the card. But that's on the major arcana. The minor arcana, from 2 through 10 do not have words. It just has the Roman numeral at the top. But again, you know exactly what that suit is based off of the imagery. The aces and the court cards do have the naming at the bottom. Some of them are easy to read. Some of them are not. It just depends on the imagery in the background. But yeah, for the most part, it's perfect. If you want to move away from the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, and you want something more modern, more bright, this might be a tarot deck that you might be interested. Again, take a look at the flip through, see how you feel about it, and go for it. You should be able to find it online anywhere, but I found mine at Spencer's, if that helps. Now, as far as how it reads, reads perfectly, reads beautifully. I've done a couple of readings with it and it was beautiful. It had me looking at things and just intuitive hits were just beautiful. If I had one pain point, I would say, and it may not happen to everyone's tarot deck that they purchase, but I've had this happen with an Insight Editions tarot deck. They have novelty tarot decks, and it's the type of laminate that they put on their cards to kind of protect the imagery. Look at my tower. Can you see that line? You see that line? Yeah, that's not supposed to be there. That is the just the cover, the laminate that's over the cardstock that's lifted off. So I think that was just a manufacturing mishap. It doesn't bother me too much, but it is a distraction because you can feel the line. But other than that, I mean, that's the only card that has that. No other cards have it. The other deck that I have that has it from the other publisher has a lot of defects that are similar to that. So I'm glad that it's only one card on this particular tarot deck. But other than that, it's a beautiful, beautiful tarot deck. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Without further ado, here is the flip through. Enjoy, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.